You're listening to Kenny Mammarella-d'cruz on the Men's Radio Station. Hello and welcome to this week's MenSpeak Radio show, where I get to hang out with teacher, prolific writer, author and consultant Oliver J.R. Cooper. After a childhood filled with abuse, neglect and developmental trauma, I knew I'd have a problem with that one, Oliver wanted to understand his own pain, his lack of confidence and emotional instability. God, it sounds heavy. Don't we all? But you know, I think so many...
It was.
Yeah.
It was heavy.
But so many people don't realise that's what's going on, and it's like perpetual survival. So good on you. As he began to share his writings, other people resonated with his simple, down-to-earth and insightful style of explaining things. Today, Oliver has written over 2,100 articles, covering all aspects of human transformation, including intimacy, partnership, self-love and inner awareness. So you've also written loads of books, haven't you? How many books have you written?
Yeah, just a few. 19 books now.
19
and a few more
books
ready to come out.
Good. And a few more ready to come out.
Yeah, I've got about 6 ready to come out.
I've got one in my bag, actually. What's about the enmeshment with mother?
What, Kenneth Adams?
No, yours.
No, that one.
The one that's not yet released yet.
Yeah, about boundaries and enmeshment and what can happen when a man doesn't, or a boy doesn't gradually separate and become a man.
Yeah.
Because he ends up staying enmeshed.
Exactly.
So he doesn't individuate. Basically.
And then what would you say happens, now that we're on the subject, before we get into your... What happens, would you say, when a boy remains enmeshed, irrespective of whose fault it is or whatever should have happened? What would you say happens? What's the outcome?
Well, a big thing is it's all about pleasing his mother.
Yeah.
It can be about pleasing other women.
Exactly.
But very often it's not about pleasing other women because his mother comes first.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if his mother is still alive or if she's passed on, because it's still the same dynamic.
Yeah.
So, and the main thing is he's just simply out of touch with his own needs and feelings, probably emotionally shut down.
Well, funnily enough, I can totally relate to all of that. Because that's how I was. And also,
same, which is why
you wrote the book. This is why we get on. And also, I would say that, and this is all unconscious, it took me a while to realise this and to get it, and then to do the dastardly deed of almost like breaking the spell and being my own man, allowing my mother to be her own woman, and the two of us to come back and start a brand new relationship. But over and above my relationship to my mother, which, to be frank, I totally loved and love, it was also my projection on all women, that my place is to be responsible for their emotions, second guess for their pain and fix it, second guess where they might be angry or upset with me, and be whatever I fantasize they want me to be. And the poor women didn't have a me to meet because I didn't exist. I was whatever my fantasy was of who they wanted me to be. And it was like a little boy pretending to be a man, going around in a frenzy, thinking all sorts of nonsense. How was it for you?
Yeah, pretty much the same, just having no idea. And as you said, it's just sort of scratching around, trying to make sense of things. And I think if you're curious and open-minded, then, you know, gradually you'll probably find a way through it. Yeah. But it is just simply the lights are off and you're trying to find where everything is.
Yeah.
You know, where's the toilet? Where's the bed?
Yeah.
Where's the kitchen?
And am I allowed to use them now?
Permission as well. Exactly. You're not an individual. You need permission, just like a child needs permission.
Do you know, I met you, I don't remember how many years ago, a few years ago, 5 years ago, maybe less?
No, I think it's about a year ago, wasn't it?
No.
About a year and a half.
When, so
2018.
Colin Smith, the listener, put us in touch. And that was only a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the end of 2018.
I don't do numbers and time too well. But I remember when we first met and we hung out, and then you came to a men's group, and then it was a few months later we met. And
we did the video
exactly.
as well. Yeah.
And it was like, my God, this bloke has changed so much, so quickly. And now I haven't seen you for a few months. And yet again, it's like, man, he sharpened up.
Because I had a haircut, that's why. Come on, let's just be honest.
And in the old days, you didn't even have such a sharp sense of humour. You were so nicey. But you just progressed.
I did, but I think it's a case of showing up, being more consistent, So certain parts of us can show up at certain times, but if we're not completely comfortable within ourselves, then those parts go off and we can play the role.
So how have you turned it around, and how come you kind of like keep progressing? And what I like about it is nothing about you, I believe, is an act.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people who seem to progress, they just get louder with their acts and their tricks and their manipulations. But you seem to be like more and more of who you are, and there's more of you to share, and there's more of you to enjoy. What's your secret?
Well, the secret is take this pill twice a day for a year. No, I think what it is, it's like with anything, it's being persistent.
Yeah.
Being open-minded.
Yeah.
Being patient as well. And reaching out for support, for guidance, because there's people there.
Yeah.
But it's simply about asking for the assistance. And if nothing comes of it, to being able to step back and to work with someone else.
Yeah.
And it's just keeping going. I mean, I've been on this path since about 2003. And the emotional work for me began in about 2014-15, and that involved crying and processing emotions. But up until that point, like for example, I remember a friend saying to me, there seems like there's more of you.
Yeah.
And it's because during that time I was integrating my emotional self.
Yeah.
So I was basically integrating my body. So it's, I wish I could say there was a magic wand or one book or one course, one weekend, and then everything fell into place.
I'm really pleased
it didn't.
You don't, because I don't believe that could possibly be true.
No.
I mean, a book or a course or a workshop or whatever could switch a light on or provide some clues.
Time.
But surely it's the way that you live your life in every moment and adjusting when it's out of alignment. And it's, for me, an ongoing process. And maybe it's because I'm generally hungry for more. And I believe the more I want, the more it's going to come up for me to deal with or integrate or let go of or make peace with or whatever. And then I get more out of life. And so it goes on.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad or ugly? No, it's life and I love it.
Yeah. And it's part of your nature. And I think another thing as well, what I found with this path is that we can go up. It's not like having highs and lows. We can go up, we can feel better, see growth, then we can drop down.
Yeah.
And then like I can think, what's happening here before? It's not working or whatever. But it's through that, and then it's like coming back up again.
Yeah.
It's like pushing something down in water, and it springs back up.
Yeah, yeah. And these days, I get a little bit concerned at how pain can be demonized, and it should be avoided at every cost. And what do I take? Who do I throw money at? Or how do I behave to avoid it? Meanwhile, pain's part of life, and generally when I'm in pain, all it means is I'm out of control, I'm learning something or unlearning something, I'm feeling.
Yeah.
My God, feeling.
God, don't do that, Kevin. Get out of this studio now.
So tell us your story, because it sounds loaded.
Well, it is, and it's thinking about what part to touch on or how deep to go into it. But basically, coming back to the introduction, so you went on to, in the beginning, it's like I didn't really know what was going on, but I knew I was emotionally unstable.
When did you know that? Like, how old were you?
I was about 16. It was just 16, 17, just as I left school. It was like leaving school, so all the structure disappeared.
Right.
And then it's like uncertainty, what am I going to do now?
And how were you in school? Like, how did you get on with the other kids and girls and friends? And
yeah, I pretty much knew everyone. I wouldn't say I was, because I was quite, it's like I would have moments where I'd be a bit shy, other moments where I'd kind of stand out.
Right. So no huge deal. You ticked over.
Yeah, I ticked over. I didn't do particularly well. I wasn't misbehaving all the time, but I didn't get good grades or anything like that.
Yeah.
So leaving school, I just thought, what am I going to do? And because I was into working out and some sports, I thought I'd do sport and leisure, but I wasn't really sporty, so I ended up surrounded by all these sporty people. So it wasn't really my thing, but it was something for me to do. It took away my uncertainty and concerns about what I was going to do. And I suppose now I understand my emotions and I can label them. At the time I was experiencing a lot of shame. So it would come up and I would feel the need to get away, just to...
And this was you comparing yourself to the others? Is that where the shame came from?
I don't really know. It would just come up.
Right.
So it would come up to the surface.
Right.
I suppose there was some of that going on.
Yeah.
And then I would go home and wait till it settled down.
Wow.
And then as time has gone on, and I've understood my emotions and gone to deeper parts within myself, now I can see what was going on, and I could see that it was actually early trauma of neglect as a baby and birth trauma as well. I mean, I was put under an incubator when I was born and things like that. So it's right from the beginning there was a feeling of abandonment, you know.
So how come you were in an incubator?
It just came out very cold.
Right.
And I think they can't think of the right term, but the food wasn't going into me as a baby.
Yeah.
When I was in the womb, so there was lots of problems there. So I think that was the beginning, but I've also looked into past lives as well, and I've kind of connected to the parts of myself that have been in the past. So there's many different parts of it, but it's just many different experiences. There wasn't one thing, you know, like one trauma, and that was it. It was many little ones and big ones, and just built up, and just trying to keep it together as an adult.
So it's a big deal, this incubator thing. It's amazing how many of my clients, when I find out what was going on, the mother was grieving because her father died when I was being carried, and then I was straight into an incubator, and it's like, what were you pickled in before she even gave birth to you? And then how traumatic was that? And then the separation. Well, no wonder. It's almost like the script continues in later life about isolation or disconnection or whatever it is.
Yes.
It sounds like you. And then when are you saying that as a baby after that you had neglect? You were neglected. So what's the story around that?
I think the best way to describe it is just having parents who are emotionally unavailable.
Right.
So they can really show up for, you know, their traumas.
Yeah.
My father's issues, and his wife passed on shortly before he met my mother. So he obviously wasn't in a good way. And I think now we have, not trying to justify it because I've faced it, but I think now we have information that's so readily available. But in those days, you know, what would someone do?
Yeah.
No, of course someone can still shut down now, even though the information is there, but back then it was just the done thing.
Yeah, yeah. And it was, I'm not sure about now, so trendy to blame the parents.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's so important, as you seem to do right now, is realise that they can't share what they haven't got.
Yeah.
And we're all on our own paths with things that we know, things that we don't know, things that we don't have, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And in a way, I thank God for the ways that I've been stuffed up, naming no names. Because if it wasn't for being stuffed up in those, I mean, and I can say it now because I'm at the other end.
Yeah.
There and then it was horrendous. Oh my God, I didn't think I'd survive. But it's in unlearning those things that I've picked up my tools to live a good life and pass it on. And it's almost like, and the way that you were talking about previous lives and birth, you know, it's the bigger picture of everything.
Yes.
And the question very often can be why.
Yep.
And from there comes, now I know who I am and what I'm here to do right here and right now. Fair to say?
Yeah, I agree. It's that perspective, isn't it? Being able to step back and to see the big picture. And before that point, of course, someone can get stuck in the blame, and I think in the beginning that's probably part of it.
Totally.
And then as long as that, because the alternative is then to cover it up. Yeah. My childhood was fine. Yeah. My parents were perfect, and then they have kids and end up
passing it on,
effing over their kids. Yeah. You know, or taking it out on their partner in some way, or their boss, or colleagues, or people below them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
was there a stage or a point where you thought something's not quite right, I need to get to know about this?
Yeah, right from the beginning, really. Just it was I suppose, just as I said, about 16, 17, something isn't right. And before then, I was looking for answers. I used to listen to the Sunday Surgery on Radio 1. Don't know if you're aware of that.
No.
And people would just call up with their problems. And there was some guy, I think he was a doctor, and there was the host of the show. And people just call out their problems. I love listening to it and just kind of, and I suppose that helped me to tap into what was already within me, because I didn't really enjoy learning at school, so I didn't see myself as intellectual or anything like that. So it was after that, and then I went to Australia in 2003, and that's when I read my first book on self-development.
Which?
And that was Louise L. Hay, Perhaps You Can Heal Your Life, or another one. And it was just like I was receiving something that I hadn't had for years and years. Just like, pour it in, you know?
Yeah. So that helped to plant the seeds.
It did. That opened me up to a new world. And it was like, right, Buddhism and all that. And I went too deep in it, really. Didn't really want to go out and didn't want to judge people and all that. So, and then I came away from that.
And I guess these are the extremes of, I'm a victim, everyone's to blame, it's not fair, I'm enraged, I'm going to punish everyone, I'm going to let them feel my pain. And that's one extreme. The other extreme is, fine, everything's nice, it was perfect and every lovely, spiritual, blah, blah, blah. And I found that in reaching and living both extremes, I can find not just my centre forever and ever, but at least my truth in this moment. And I remember I did Vipassana, do you know the Vipassana, a 10-day silent meditation?
Right, yeah.
And when I did that, and it's like no communication with anyone, sit still for an hour and meditate, up at 4 o'clock in the morning, blah, 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 for 10 days. And there were different levels of madness every day. Mm-hmm. And I remember going through remembering things, realizing things, putting things in place, getting into not just blame, but absolute rage. And then the next day, revenge. And my revenge strategies and fantasies were ridiculous. And I needed that darkness and that devilishness to come up. I needed to be with it. If I suppressed it, I think at some level it would own me. I think the more that's suppressed, it takes more. Suppressing something takes more energy. It actually feeds things rather than allowing it up and putting in its place. Listening to it and then turning the volume down and saying, look, if you've got anything important to say at any stage, then let me know. But you've been heard now, so you don't need to dominate anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I went through that. Was that similar to you, just feeling all the negatives and all the positives, all the spiritual and all the devilish? And have you been there?
Absolutely. It's embracing, as you're saying, the rage, the shame, the deep shame, guilt, the terror, all the heavy trauma. And in the beginning, working with a number of different people who could hold the space,
right, so
that I could go there and to build up my own ability to hold space for myself.
Yeah.
And as you're saying, if that isn't done, then it can end up owning us. And It takes a hell of a lot of energy to keep that stuff down.
Yeah. So you are no more Mr. Nice Boy, same as me, it seems. Because I know that little boy who was enmeshed and responsible for the emotions of others had to be nice. And there was no space for any of this. There was no space for reality, good or bad, happy or sad. It was just limbo. It was that silly ass grin like Wallace and Gromit. So how do you write? I mean, that many books and that many articles. Like, what's your writing process?
Well, now, because I've done it for so long, it's just, I wake up, I usually write. And I get in, now all the time I'm thinking and my mind is coming up with different ideas all the time. So it's very much a part of my nature.
So it's the way that other people write to their diaries. You write in an order from what's going on in your mind?
Well, I do have a journal, so I put stuff. Yeah, I had a journal. I had a journal for 2 years before I was writing. So, yeah. So what usually happens is I might see something or have an experience.
Yeah.
And I get a title, and then I sit down and write. So I don't sit down and think, what am I going to write about today? I'm over that. I just get the idea, and then it just comes out. So, and in today's world, because there's so many distractions, the big thing is concentration, to be able to focus and to cut everything out. So it's like tunnel vision. You know, everything else is just irrelevant. And it's just about that screen and getting it out.
So you manage the distractions somehow?
Yeah.
Turning things off?
All on silent, out the way.
Right.
Music in usually.
Really?
And that helps to dance music usually, trance music or film score.
Really?
Something like that, yeah.
So you get into a trance dance type vibe?
Yeah, but it's like when I do it, it's like my mind goes into a different state. So I'm not really thinking, I'm just in that zone. And then it all comes out, you know?
Yeah.
Thinking before, not during.
Oh, really?
Usually, yeah.
So you're kind of ticking over, and then when you start typing, you're ready.
Yes.
And it comes out. Do you know, it sounds like bliss. So many people.
It is. It's good to get away from everything and just to focus on that, and everything else just, it's like timelessness, you know?
What a gift for people as well. So can you remember the titles of your 19 books?
Some of them.
Go on, top of your head.
Okay, so the first one was A Dialogue with the Heart. And that's poetry, it's stuff that came to my mind when I was connected to my own heart.
Yeah.
And that was in 2014. And then after that...
How old were you then, when your first book came out?
Mid-20s, probably.
Is that young?
For what?
Dialoguing with your heart and telling the world about it and being...
Well, the thing is, I did that when I was working with someone, and it was kind of like a mindfulness type technique. And it was heart coherence, trying to regulate my emotions through connecting to my heart.
Right.
Which didn't work, because I had all this trauma.
Yeah.
But that was afterwards. So I was connecting to my heart, and I came out with all this kind of spiritual type wisdom in a way. So did that. And then there was Trapped Emotions.
Well, there would be after Dialogue with you.
More trapped emotions at that point, more repression.
The return of trapped emotions.
Yeah. Oliver Strikes Back. And after that, I think it could have been Childhood. So that's a book looking at all the symptoms that we can have, or a number of symptoms that can arise from early neglect and abuse. And then I think there was a Dialogue Part 2. And after that was probably Abandonment. Is a fear of abandonment controlling your life? So what's that for? And then after that was Toxic Shame.
These are such juicy titles, and they are so relatable.
Yeah,
it's not about being smart or clever or concepts. It sounds just like this is mine, what it is, and feel this. Yeah. Know yourself here.
Know thyself. And then I did one called A Dialogue with the Spirit. And what happened was my father passed on in 2011, but I was so shut down and numb that I didn't grieve. I didn't cry or anything like that. Or not a lot, not properly. So a number of years later, when I was crying out the pain, I got in touch with more information from my heart, and that went into this book, A Dialogue with the Spirit.
So are you saying, just with that one, sorry to interrupt, are you saying that as you feel your feelings and let them pass, then there is more space for something more or bigger to happen or to reach you? Or because you said something there, and I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I don't want to miss out on this.
Well, because I got in touch with that information.
Yeah, but because initially you were shut down, then you got in touch with it, then you felt it, and then it passed, and then what was the gift in that, if there was one?
Yeah, what I would say is when I did a Dialogue with the Heart 1 and 2, I was already kind of shut down then, but I could still get in touch with the wisdom.
Right.
So what I would say is that through building up that connection with my heart, through doing that work in the beginning, it allowed me to connect to whatever it was. And through doing that, it came out, and I just thought, well, this information could help anyone who has lost someone. So I'll put this into a book. And then after that, there's just been trapped grief and book on inner child, and I've done how-to guides and do all kinds of different things. And
so as you walk your path and you reach the next level of, I don't know, a wormhole, or what it is you need to learn or unlearn or let go of or make peace with or whatever, you share the experience so other people...
Yes, usually,
That is so simple, courageous, and handy. How handy is that?
Yeah. Well, that's what I think. On one side, there's part of me sometimes think, I don't want to share this or whatever, a small part, but I think, the big picture, if this can help someone, and usually the people that find this information are the ones that usually need it anyway. It's not like someone who is not into this is just going to stumble upon it. So I just think, well, I'm willing to take that risk.
So is it go to Amazon and type in Oliver J.R. Cooper and they all show up?
Yes,
That is just like, what a gift. And beyond that, in the next, we need to pop into a commercial break soon, because that's how trendy we are. We do commercial breaks, man.
I take it, advertising McDonald's or anything like that.
Oh, please. Burger King. Oh, we're not allowed to say brands. Too late. We're going to be cut off. But I'm interested in, as well as the books, what do you do? And also, who are you now? And as you walk your path and these different wormholes, different stages of life show up, how do you change? So we're going to find out straight after this break.
You're listening to Men Radio Station, where men really talk.
Hello, I'm Lawrence Davis. I'm the proud owner of Started Cigars in Mayfair and Knightsbridge. For the past 60 years, we've been providing the world's best Cuban cigars. When it comes to cigars, there's no other than Started Cigars from Mayfair and Knightsbridge. We at Starters would like to wish Men's Radio Station every support in their task for helping men's emotional and mental well-being. Check them out. Men's Radio Station, where men really talk.
Do you want to hang out and really know that you've been listened to? Do you want to debrief and have a laugh and not have to fall down the same hole as every other man in front of you? Then why not go to mensgroups.co.uk, download the Men's Groups ground rules, download the Men's Groups check-in round. There are loads of videos and you can just hit the ground running, growing with other men.
Your call is important to us. You are now number 15 in a queue.
At Profile Insurance Services, we treat people as individuals. You'll speak to a real person, not a call centre. We're fast, small, independent, and have a superb team of insurance specialists. And they're really nice too. Advice is totally free and we cover everything. Call 0208 931 3306. Listeners to Men's Radio Station won't pay a penny for admin fees. That's 0208 931 3306. With Profile Insurance Services, you're covered.
Hello and welcome to a brand new show coming very soon to Men's Radio. I'm Sandro Forte and I'm really looking forward to chatting to some fabulous guests, all of whom will be sharing insights into what made them hugely successful or simply what they did to overcome some of life's challenges. The 40 hour is going to be interactive. Please do call in and speak to us, as well as insightful, inspirational and educational. So don't miss the 40 hour coming really soon to Men's Radio.
Let me tell you about Jermyn Street Theatre. We are the smallest theatre in the West End, only 70 seats. We are a registered charity and not grant-aided, run by a small team of volunteers and trustees. Jermyn Street Theatre is a hidden gem. It combines the comfort and convenience of the West End with the intimacy of a studio. Every seat has a perfect view of the stage, and even a whisper is audible. This is a secret theatre in the heart of the West End, once found, never forgotten.
You're listening to Kenny Mammarella-d'cruz on the Men's Radio Station. So here's a question. I'm curious about your routine, and I'm curious about how you live your life. And earlier on, the way that James does the sound checks is, so what did you have for breakfast? And you seem to know how to take care of yourself. So from neglect to healthy, bright, smart, cheeky. How did you learn? How did you learn how to take care of yourself? And how do you live your life? Like, do you have a routine or?
Yeah, for me, it's all about routine. It's all about discipline. A mentor once said to me, vision and structure. And to me, it is about having the routine. So, because I remember reading in a magazine, it said something like Obama would wear the same stuff all the time, because that way he doesn't have to think, he doesn't have to waste energy on what he's going to wear. So he can use that energy to think about the more important things. So it's all about energy management. And so for me, I usually get up and write. In the past, I would write in the evening, and, you know, and I'd see myself as a night owl and all that. But now I just get it done right in the morning. And then after that, then I can do other things, like I'll also volunteer.
Right.
So I can do that, and I can go to the gym, walking, seeing friends.
So is it like,
stuff in the garden.
Is the morning your work time and the rest of it is your time? Is that how it works? Or is the morning your writing time and then the rest of it's pure choice, apart from, I'm guessing if you volunteer, they know when you're going to be there?
Yeah. I mean, if I volunteer, it's usually in the morning. But if I've got clients in that day, so I might have to restructure it. But it's there is discipline, there is structure, but I can also be quite flexible as well. But I like having the ability to decide what I'm going to do instead of up at 9 or start at 9, finish at 6, and having to ask for permission.
So you have a structure, but you have freedom within that structure. And it doesn't sound like you're controlled by control or by judgment or by pressure. So how did you learn to take care of yourself? A lot of people I've met, especially blokes, it's not that they're lazy and they don't know how to take care of themselves. It could be that they weren't taught, they weren't cared for, they were neglected, there was poverty, or there was, more often than not, so much wealth that there was actually no nurture. And it was left to the servants, or it was left to the school, or whatever it was, and they've had to start from scratch. And that could be with basic needs. And emotional needs is a whole nother level. And then there's mental and social needs. And then you've even explored the spiritual needs. So what, at the end, we're supposed to do 3 tips, but hey, what would you say to people about where to start? Because it sounded like you started from minus. And you unlearned yourself to 0. And as you did that, you started to pass it on. And now you're doing jolly well, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, thank you very much. I would say in many ways I started at minus. And I think the key is to be curious. And just to be open-minded. It's so easy to find things on Google. And it can be a minefield in the beginning because, again, you know, what do I do? What do I look for? But just start on one thing as well. So in the beginning, a lot of this I had to learn, especially with emotional needs. I often would ignore those. I'll take care of my intellectual needs. It's very easy to do by myself. I don't need to ask someone else to help me fulfill those. So a lot of it is just being realistic as well. It's not going to change overnight, but it will change as long as someone keeps going. And it's just about hanging in there, being curious, being persistent. And so, for example, let's say with, you know, external needs, so appearance. So someone could look at themselves and think, okay, what needs to change here? And they could get a piece of paper and write on the top, what needs am I neglecting? Then write them all down underneath. And after they've done that, they can see, all right, what can I do today? What can I do tomorrow? And just some things might be a lot bigger. So a haircut, you know, it's quite simple, new clothes. Lots of clothes now, they're quite cheap as well. And I don't think someone needs to spend a lot. nowadays to look smart. It obviously depends on what they're going for.
Yeah.
As for emotional needs, that can take a bit longer because we're opening up to someone else.
Yeah.
And asking. You know, there's a chance someone might say no, and if someone's carrying a lot of rejection, pain within them, and that can be, oh God, no, not going there. Let's just stick to these other needs. That's more comfortable. And I think a big part is self-compassion, for someone to be compassionate to themselves. And of course, if they're not doing that, then they're not going to do that overnight. But if they can just imagine that if a child fell over, how would they respond to that child? Or they might know someone in their life who is very compassionate, and they can gradually integrate that voice, that presence into their own mind, so they're gradually more compassionate to themselves.
Part of me is, because I believe a lot of males, especially like boy males rather than man males, can just think and fix and panic, rather than what I believe you're saying is stop.
Yeah.
And get it out of you, get it on paper and look at it. Get everything out. Stop trying to think it and fix it and panicking it. And then break it down into here and now. And know that everything will pass. Because I know that when I have been in panic or depressed or upset or whatever it is that's going on that's negative, I can have the belief that it's always been like this. It's always going to be like this. I'm stuffed. But the truth is, and I remind clients, men's group men, everyone around me so often when they're on the downer, that this is passing. All things, I have a Mambo, I'm not allowed to say brands. I have a non-specific Australian t-shirt brand.
Sounds really interesting.
And there's a picture of a dog, and you see it from behind, and it's cocked its leg up, and there's a spanner on the ground, and the caption is, all things will pass. Some things might make your eyes water a little bit more than others, but it's a great reminder that all things will pass, good, bad and ugly. And in the downers, I have found more often than not, people really believe that this is who they are. This downer owns them, this story owns them, this restriction owns them. But what you're saying is so simple and so practical, and it's like, it's start now. And what would you say, people, how do people object? Do they say, but I've got no money, but I've got no time, but I've got, what are the main victim stories you've come up with?
Well, I think time is a big thing, not having time, and there's so many distractions as well, just to pull people away. But I think time, being capable, I'm not capable of doing it.
I can't because blah, blah, blah.
And perhaps I haven't got enough time, in terms of age.
Right.
So kind of I'm getting on now. What's the point, right?
Yeah. And what do you say to that when people come up with these? Apart from shut up and get on with it.
To have one say that. Well, I would say depends on the person and what kind of personality they've got, but I think it's about looking at the big picture.
Right.
So, and also, what if they could? What if you could do that? How different would your life be, and how bad is your life going to be if you carry on living in the same way, tapping in, as you said in the beginning, tapping into the pain. Because it's the pain, that's what gets us moving, not, that's going to be really great when my life's like that.
Yeah.
Be able to wake up tomorrow, can't be bothered. You've got to tap into that pain.
Yeah.
How's it going to be in 5 years' time if you still live like this?
Do you know, there's another one for me as well that I use is, what is the benefit of this? Because you say you want that, but there's a reason that you're scared of having that. Is it that you're scared of being vulnerable or rejected or opening up to love and losing love again? And, I had this thing where after being a refugee, I was scared of making it in case I lose it because I didn't know I had it in me to make it again. And that was my unconscious script. Crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy, but totally valid. Mentally, emotionally. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It means surely that that's where that person needs to be met. And then speak to them in their own language and say, okay, there is a benefit here. Now, what choice are you going to make? And generally, are there core fears that the people you attract are dealing with? Or is it like quite a variety?
There is a variety, but I think it often comes down to the same reasons anyway.
Go on.
So there's shame. So there's, if I get this, will people abandon me? Mm-hmm. So there can be that real familiarity that's built around basically staying small, because if I grow, perhaps I'll lose someone's approval, and then I'll be abandoned and I'll die.
Right.
And then our mind, someone can say, oh yeah, but it's just in your mind. Just change your thoughts.
Yeah.
But if that person's carrying trauma, it's not just in their mind, it's in their whole body.
Yeah.
And their body is always going to overpower their mind. So in that instance, it's about getting into the trauma and resolving it.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say, correct me if I'm wrong, is I know how to do this victim life, and I know how to survive these traumas, and this is how I express myself in life. So why would I not want to do what I'm good at doing, which is surviving rather than living?
Yeah.
And the other thing that I think I'm hearing you say, and this is what I believe controls a lot of men specifically, is fear of abandonment and fear of humiliation. Mm. And who generally do you work with? And do people read your books, contact you and say, save me? How does it work?
Well, I've worked with people all over the world, and men and women.
Yeah.
And I offer different services as well, but a lot of it is abandonment's a common thing, shame.
That sounds very dubious. What do you mean you offer different services as well?
Where are we going with this, Kenny?
That's what I'm asking you. So,
well, for example, I offer consultations.
Right.
There's stuff to do with the inner child. There's stuff to do with helping someone to write a book.
Oh,
so it's that kind of service.
So I'll help you write, or I'll help you shift this part that's blocking you in your life.
That's it.
Right.
So when it comes to the writing, I'm not going to tell them what to write or things like that. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
It's about mindset and how to structure things. So just, gentle guidance, not, you better do it like this. And I know everything because I've done it. So, the support. And with the normal consultations, that it all depends where someone's at and where they're willing to go. So it's about me tuning in and just seeing what they're ready for, really, because I've got a number of different approaches, and I think it all depends where someone's at. Mm. Instead of just, you better go down this route.
So you meet them
Trusting
where they
their
are.
System. Yeah.
And as you meet them where they are, do you or they or no one knows where it's going? How does it progress?
Well, I think there's the conscious intention, there's the unconscious intention as well.
Yeah.
So I think there's always, it's like a dance, isn't there? There's always where you at, where you see things go, where they're willing to go as well, and it's kind of dealing with the fears that come up as well, and gently working through them.
So they get to debrief everything they're thinking, everything they're feeling, everything they want, everything they're scared of, what's blocking them, and you kind of sit with them in this place and allow them to transform these things or make peace with these things or whatever. You go on the journey with your clients.
They can open up about whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing is out of bounds.
Right.
However, there can be, for example, if I think that someone else can assist them with a certain thing, because obviously I'm not a therapist, or I'll do Reiki healing, but I'm not really going to be there to do certain things with them. So I might say, okay, now you can do this. Now there might be a certain technique, for example, I think can assist them to heal trauma or emotional pain or whatever. So I can say, okay, I suggest you do that. Or so it's bringing it all together.
So you provide them with whatever tools it is that they want, that you know of, whether it's people or a link to something else. Or, that's great. And is it on Skype or Zoom generally that you work with people?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, so you see people face to face in a room?
I can do if they don't live too far away.
And where do you live?
Well, in Kent.
Right. So kind of Kent, London, face-to-face, otherwise Zoom. And do you know, and I'm not suggesting that it's a good thing to know, do you know where things are going for you, For the world or for Brexit?
Right, at the beginning I said no politics, Kenny, no politics.
Do you have a plan or a focus?
I have a vision.
Go on.
And the vision is to assist. It's not about, in the beginning it was about I want to save the world and all that kind of stuff. And, that I was intelligent, so I wanted to save the world. Then I was wise, I wanted to save myself, that quote.
Yeah.
So simply just to more books, more articles, more videos, and just see how things develop, how things open up, and just to do what I can while I'm here to assist others and to show that there is a way. There is a way beyond these challenges that they have, and hope. It's like a mission or a message of hope,
You're quite a traveller as well, aren't you? It sounds like you travel inside to know yourself. And you travel outside. When I was travelling as well, I really got to know myself as I travelled outside, because I thought that I knew stuff. No, I didn't. I got so challenged by the different cultures and the different relationships that people had, and the different social rules and the different levels of caring and sharing, that I got really challenged and realised. I mean, I find that when I leave London. And I'm quite a nasty piece of work when I go into the countryside.
I don't believe it, Ken. Don't believe it.
And everyone's nice and calm, and I was like, and then when I come back to London, I remember I used to think, why does everyone hate me? What have I done something wrong? And then I have to remember, no, this is just how it is. And it's the same as when I left the UK, or when I moved to different, or even travelled in different continents. I get to know and challenge different parts of myself, and I get to let go of different shields. I get to heal different wounds. Where have you been, and what have you found?
Well, I think what this played a part for me in the love of travel and different cultures is that I grew up in a guest house. So there's people coming over for holidays, students at Christmas, during the summer from all over the world. Sri Lanka, Japan, Kuwait, America, all over Europe.
So it was quite a big experience with other cultures.
It opened me up. So instead of seeing other people as, strangers and those people over there, it's just, just let's go and have a chat. Let's go and find out.
Was it a nice house with lovely crockery and decent furniture and lovely soft furnishings?
In a way. Yeah, there was food on the table, and plenty of furnishings, as you're saying. It was very comfortable in that sense, but not emotionally. It was emotionally barren. But coming back to where I've been to America and Mexico and Indonesia, Australia, Singapore, Thailand, and Sweden and Europe, different places there. But what I like is to go to a different culture and to really embrace that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be in Bali and be eating burgers,
We're back to burgers, but now it's Bali burgers.
Or tacos in Sweden.
So here's a cosmic question, because earlier on you said about not just this life, but previous lives. Do you feel that you met any parts of yourself in any of these places, or were you looking for any part? A lot of people, it's like, I need to go to Egypt because I am sure I was Tutankhamun himself, that kind of thing.
Makes a change, doesn't it? Someone saying that.
Or Jesus is the most common
out there?
one.
Never heard of them. Well, recently I've been going to the British Museum, and I like the Greek history, so I feel that connection there. But I've never been to Greece, But to me, it's something that is not just an idea. I've really connected to a past life as well. So someone has said to me before about past lives, it's like, yeah, it's interesting, but I think once we really connect to that something within ourselves, then it becomes real instead of just, that's fun.
And for people who might say, what an absolute load of hippie crap, would it be fair to say it doesn't even matter if it's true as long as it's having a good impact on you?
Well, exactly. I met someone and he came up with all these lives for me.
Mm.
And
he came up with them.
Yeah, he came up with a number of lives. And through him doing that, it allowed me to feel so much more than what I was going through. So I was more than this. So as you're saying, it doesn't really matter if someone believes in them or not. But if they can help them, and let's say they connect to, so they don't believe it, but let's say they connect to a past life, and then they feel something or experience something, then they come back, and they no longer fear something, then that's the result.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Really. I mean, to me, it's all about this life.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get too caught up in what happened then, but it can be inspiring.
If that contributes to here and now, it's like one of my greatest teachers was Star Trek. And there were so many concepts in Star Trek. And in watching Star Trek, I understood so much more about life and energy and dimensions and so many. And it's like I worked it out as a kid because it was just the normal thing to do for me, because I had a lot to work out. So you're very here and now. And I wonder whether you've got a similar thing to me. I've even got the Mac, where I believe that even in this life, there's a part of me that actually is Columbo. And everything in life is about clues. Everything in life gives me feedback. And it could be negative and positive. And it could be my reaction to who I pass in the street and what I think or feel.
Yeah.
Do you believe the same, or is that a little bit too busy?
No, I think it's there. I think that life is giving us clues all the time. But I think it can be easy to go the other extreme and just, look, it means this, it means that, and we find so much meaning. And obviously the mind is a meaning-making machine.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely clues there. Like, let's say someone's going on holiday and then someone gives them a book or that same destination, like a map. They didn't even know about it. Is that random?
Yeah. So I guess I should ask you officially. Do you know what? I want to talk about love. Let's talk about love after I've asked you for 3 tips. Anything that people might find handy in their daily lives.
Okay. A big thing for me is spending time in nature. So just 20 minutes. Obviously, if you're in London, it can take you ages just to get to nature. But 10, 20 minutes, half an hour, every now and then, could be once a week, could be a couple of times a week, and I just find that allows me to be more integrated, more grounded, and just to feel better. And so that's one thing.
I am very good at telling my best friends to shut up sometimes, especially when we're in nature, because when we're in the forest, I need to be in the forest, not in my head, bantering with them. So I kind of believe that there's doing stuff and there's being or being with stuff. And it could just be a park. I think London's one of the greenest cities in the Western world or something. I don't know. But I've heard something like that. So even a garden would do?
Absolutely. I prefer trees and just to get amongst all that stuff. But anything, just an open space. But again, I think if there's too many people or someone's listening to music, as you're saying, we can get into our head and we're not really being.
Exactly.
We're not really embracing the environment.
So make the space to get grounded and present in nature. Nice one. Number 2. No pressure, of course.
Yeah, no pressure. Don't feel any pressure. That's why nothing's coming out. Another thing, spend time with people you can be authentic with. Because that is very similar to nature, can feel recharged, and again, we're not our own island. We're interdependent, so being around others can help to regulate our system, and it's just so much better than just talking to someone over a screen where it doesn't really regulate our system in the same way.
Yeah. God, this is so important. And I'll tell you what, it's a huge issue for a lot of people around me, because much as London has got millions and billions of people here, I believe it's one of the loneliest places on the planet too. And so many people have to make do with whoever they happen to work with or know or whatever.
Yeah.
How do you find good people amongst all this noise and isolation?
Well, obviously I live in the country, but I have met good people in London.
Or even, wherever people are.
I think a big part of it is to, what do they say, in order to find the one, become the one. And obviously that's in terms of intimate relationships, but I just think it's about being open, being open-minded, being understanding, being the kind of person that you would like to meet, and just going out and just going with that, because a lot of it's about where are we at, what kind of person are we, and then we go out, let's say we're open, we're good listeners.
So it sounds like you're saying be it and attract it.
Yeah, be a certain type of person, and then just trust as well. Because I think it can be easy to get into the habit of, let's go here, let's go there, I might meet someone here, so I go there, and just simply listening to ourselves.
Yeah.
So think, how do I feel about going in there? Do I get that sense in my body about going here, going there? And who knows? Go to a certain class somewhere, you might meet someone who is on your wavelength. Go to a course or something, who knows?
I think I'm hearing two things from you. Number one is be it, and therefore attract it from the vibe you put out.
Yeah.
And number two is do what you love to do.
Yeah.
Because if you're into, I don't know, quiet life drawing, then you might not find your ideal partner at some rave.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. And number three?
Probably meditation. 10, 20 minutes, a couple of times a week.
Do you know, so many people say at least 20 minutes, at least twice a day. And you're saying 10, 20 minutes, I love how real you are, how available and doable this is, and that you don't come with any of these poxy spiritual bypasses if you have to do spirituality and do it.
That's coming after.
But it really is as simple as what you said earlier on. Write the list. Where are you going to start? And just start. Make it available and accessible to yourself.
Yeah.
And how has meditation changed you?
Well, I did it many years ago, and I've just started meditating again. But what I find is that if I say to myself, right, do an hour every day, twice a day, then I'm probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's too much.
Yeah.
So if we break it down, then it's like, okay, then I can do that. So it's better to do 20 minutes every other day than no minutes.
So make it achievable.
Yes, exactly.
Might as well plan for success.
Yeah.
How many seconds do we have left to talk about love? Go on, tell us about love.
Well,
I feel like I'm consulting Gibran here.
It comes through you, not from you.
Exactly. And are you... I don't know where this question's coming from.
Something personal.
Exactly. Are you available? Are you available to fall in love with, or are you with someone?
Well, there is someone, that's taking things slow.
Yeah.
So, but it's a healing connection. For me, a relationship is about, obviously there's a pleasure, but it's about healing and growth as well. Someone I can be authentic with and work through my blind spots, and to help them to do the same thing, and to grow together, to not only be stronger amongst ourselves, but to make a bigger difference in the world.
It sounds like what you're saying...
Companionship for me.
Yeah, and it sounds like what you're saying is be love and share love and grow in love, rather than rush into it so the hole is filled and everything's okay and you're doing love and it's like great for social media.
Yeah, up and then straight down, crash and burn.
And that for me sounds like love. What really kind of slightly distresses me is the number of men at the moment who, come to the men's groups and whatever, and they're splitting from their partners, and it brings pain and sadness, but their fear is having to go on social media or the apps or whatever to find love rather than meet real people. There's a couple of friends of mine, my friend Charlie and Sarah Louise Ryan, who were putting on a weekend this weekend, and it's all about meeting people, being with single people, and it's like humans rather than computers and apps. And that's the way. We don't have local church halls like we used to, sadly. But humans, real humans, being who they are, doing what they love, and surely that's the new, I'm not sure whether happy hunting ground's the right term, but I think I've even run out of time to even find the right term for the happy hunting ground. So I will see you on this ground next week. Thank you, Oliver.
Thank you.
You're listening to Kenny Mammarella-d'cruz on the Men's Radio Station.